Don't spend that dime too quickly. Some Roosevelt and Mercury dimes with rare dates, mint marks, or tiny minting errors are selling for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. That little 10-cent coin in your pocket could actually be a hidden treasure. Check before you spend. The 1970 United States one-dime coin, part of the Roosevelt dime series, is a small silver-colored coin that has been in the hands of millions of Americans over the decades. At first glance, it looks just like any other dime of its era. But for coin collectors, history enthusiasts, and error hunters, the 1970 dime is much more than a 10-cent piece. It represents a period of important transition in U.S. coinage, holds the potential for highly collectible errors, and continues to captivate collectors because of its condition rarities and auction results. While billions of dimes circulate without distinction, certain 1970 issues have sold for far more than their face value, sometimes reaching into the thousands of dollars when rarity, error, or pristine preservation come into play. The Roosevelt dime series began in 1946, shortly after the death of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, to honor his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II. Designed by chief engraver John R. Sinek, the obverse features Roosevelt's left-facing profile with the inscriptions Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date. The reverse displays a torch flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. This design has been in place ever since, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. By 1970, the coin had already been struck for nearly 25 years, and while its design was familiar, its composition had changed. From 1946 to 1964, Roosevelt dimes were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. But with rising silver prices in the early 1960s, the U.S. Mint changed the composition beginning in 1965 to a copper-nickel-clad planchet with a pure copper core. The 1970 dime, like all circulation issues after 1965, was composed of this clad material, giving it the silvery appearance but without any actual silver content. For collectors, this makes the 1970 dime part of the modern clad era, but that doesn't mean it lacks potential value. The mintage figures for 1970 were substantial, but they varied by mint. The Philadelphia Mint, which struck coins without a mint mark, produced more than 345 million dimes. The Denver Mint added over 754 million pieces with the D mint mark, making it the largest contributor that year. San Francisco, meanwhile, struck around 2.6 million proof coins with the S mint mark for collector sets. These proof coins, made with specially prepared dies and polished planchets, stand apart for their mirrored surfaces and sharp detail, and they are especially appealing in high grades. Most 1970 dimes found in circulation today are worth only face value, but the story changes dramatically when condition and errors are considered. Collectors often hunt for examples in pristine mint state condition, with full luster and no distracting marks. High-grade examples graded MS67 or higher by PCGS or NGC can fetch $200 to $500, with some even higher depending on eye appeal. Proof coins graded PR70 Deep Cameo are equally impressive, often commanding between $300 and $600 at auctions. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1970 dime, however, is the presence of rare mint errors. Among the most notable are off-center strikes, broad strikes, double strikes, and missing clad layer errors. An off-center dime where part of the design is missing but the date remains visible can be worth anywhere from $50 to $300, depending on how dramatic the error is. A broad strike, which occurs when the coin is struck without the collar that holds it in place, can also be worth around $100 to $200. Missing clad layers, which reveal the copper core beneath, often command strong premiums and can bring $250 to $500 depending on grade. Another collectible variety is the double die, where elements of the design such as Liberty or the date show clear doubling under magnification. While not as dramatic as some of the more famous double dies in U.S. coinage history, these varieties still attract collectors who enjoy the challenge of finding them. Depending on clarity and condition, double die dimes from 1970 can be worth $100 to $500. Auction records provide some of the most exciting stories for the 1970 Roosevelt dime. A 1970 D example graded MS68 full torch, which means the torch on the reverse has full detail in its vertical lines and horizontal bands, once sold for over $2,000 at auction. Proof examples graded PR70 Deep Cameo have also crossed the $1,000 mark, showing just how much collectors are willing to pay for near-perfect coins. These results highlight how condition rarity drives value, even in a coin with hundreds of millions of examples struck. The full torch designation itself deserves attention. Collectors place special emphasis on Roosevelt dimes with fully struck reverse details, particularly the torch's bands. These design elements are often weakly struck, and finding a coin where they are sharp and complete can be very difficult. As a result, 1970 dimes with full torch designations carry significant premiums, especially in the highest grades. Beyond condition and errors, the 1970 dime also has historical significance. It was issued during a period when the mint was adjusting to the realities of clad coinage, managing the technical challenges of striking billions of coins with new compositions. It was also a time when proof coin production in San Francisco was firmly established, giving collectors high-quality strikes as part of proof sets. The transition away from silver had already been controversial earlier in the decade, but by 1970, Americans had largely accepted their new copper-nickel coins, making this dime part of the permanent landscape of modern U.S. coinage. For collectors today, the 1970 dime offers multiple paths. Beginners can add circulated examples to their Roosevelt dime albums easily and at minimal cost. More advanced collectors can pursue high-grade registry set pieces, proof coins in top condition, or dramatic mint errors that tell the story of what can go wrong at the mint. Each path offers something different, whether it's the satisfaction of building a complete date and mint set or the thrill of discovering an unusual error that escaped detection. In the end, the 1970 dime is a perfect reminder of how every coin carries its own story. While most examples are worth just 10 cents, the rare few that have survived in pristine condition or with unusual errors can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Auction records have proven this time and again, with sales of exceptional examples drawing headlines and driving collector interest. The small size of the dime might make it seem insignificant, but in the world of numismatics, it holds enormous potential for value and discovery. So the next time you come across a 1970 dime, take a closer look. Examine the torch on the reverse for full details, inspect the surfaces for marks and luster, and check for errors or varieties that might elevate it from a common coin to a numismatic treasure. You never know when a dime worth only 10 cents in spending power could turn out to be a prized collectible worth hundreds or even thousands. And that is the beauty of coin collecting. Finding history, art, and hidden value in the most ordinary of places. The 1990 US 1-dime coin might seem like one of the most ordinary coins you could hold in your hand. For most people, it was just 10 cents, useful for a payphone, a parking meter, or maybe a vending machine snack. Yet behind that everyday face value lies a fascinating story of history, design, errors, and rarity that has caught the attention of collectors across the United States. The Roosevelt dime, which first entered circulation in 1946, carried forward into 1990 with its timeless design honoring one of America's most respected leaders. Billions were produced, and the majority circulate unnoticed to this day. But tucked among the ordinary are extraordinary examples: flawless coins preserved in pristine condition, dramatic mint errors that escape the quality checks, and varieties that make a simple 1990 dime worth thousands of dollars at auction. On the obverse of the 1990 dime, you'll find the familiar portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, designed by John R. Sinek. His profile faces left, a strong reminder of his legacy as the president who led America through the Great Depression and World War II. Along the rim are inscriptions: the word liberty on the left, the national motto "In God We Trust" beneath his chin, the year 1990 to the right, and the initials JS at the base of his neck, honoring Sinek. The design is elegant yet simple, which is part of why it has endured for so many decades without change. Flip the coin over, and you're greeted by the classic reverse design. A torch burns in the center, flanked by an olive branch on one side and an oak branch on the other, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. Above, you'll see the words United States of America. Below, the denomination 1 dime, and across the middle the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. It's a timeless piece of symbolism that perfectly reflects the values of the United States. In 1990, the Philadelphia and Denver mints struck over 2 billion Roosevelt dimes combined. while the San Francisco Mint produced proof coins specifically for collectors. With such massive numbers, it might be tempting to think every 1990 dime is just common change. But collectors know better. Condition and rarity separate the ordinary from the extraordinary, and the 1990 dime is a perfect example of this principle. Take condition, for instance. The vast majority of dimes struck in 1990 entered circulation, picking up scratches, nicks, and wear over the years. These worn coins will always be worth face value, just 10 cents. But a select few were saved straight from mint rolls and bags, and those gems can dazzle under the light. When professionally graded, top-quality examples can command impressive sums. A 1990p dime graded MS-68, with blazing luster and no visible marks, has sold for over $1,000 at auction. Similarly, a 1990D dime in MS-68 can also bring four-figure prices because of its rarity in such a high grade. These flawless survivors stand out against billions of ordinary examples. Then there are the proof coins from the San Francisco Mint. Struck with polished dies and special planchets, proof dimes feature mirror-like fields and frosted devices, creating that beautiful cameo or deep cameo contrast collectors love. While millions of proof coins were produced, the very best examples still fetch strong prices. A 1990s proof dime graded PR70 deep cameo can bring $100 to $200 or more, particularly when certified by PCGS or NGC. These coins may not have circulated, but their beauty and perfection make them stand out. But what really gets collectors excited about the 1990 dime are the errors and varieties that slipped out of the mint unnoticed. Errors occur when something goes wrong during the striking process, and they can transform a common coin into a highly valuable rarity. One of the most dramatic types of errors seen on 1990 dimes is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not properly aligned in the press, resulting in a coin with part of the design missing. Minor off-centers may only bring $20 or $30, but dramatic examples showing 50% or more off-center, while still displaying the date, can sell for hundreds of dollars. These pieces are visually striking and immediately stand out in any collection. Double strikes are another exciting error. In this case, the coin is struck twice, often with the second strike slightly offset from the first. The result is a coin with overlapping designs, giving Roosevelt's portrait a ghostly, doubled appearance. These errors are rare and highly collectible, often bringing several $100s at auction. Wrong planchet errors are among the most valuable. Imagine a 1990 dime struck not on its proper copper-nickel dime planchet, but on a penny or even a foreign coin blank. These mistakes are incredibly rare, and when they appear, collectors pay thousands of dollars for them. A 1990 dime struck on a cent planchet, for example, could fetch anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 depending on its condition. There are also die cracks and cuds, where part of the die breaks and leaves a raised blob or missing piece of design on the coin. While smaller die cracks might only bring modest premiums of $10 to $20, dramatic die breaks or retained cuds can sell for much more, particularly if they affect Roosevelt's face or the lettering. Auction results tell the story of just how valuable a 1990 dime can be. At major coin auctions, pristine mint state examples and dramatic errors have sold for eye-catching sums. A 1990D dime in MS-68 fetched more than $1,500. Off-center errors with large visible shifts have sold for over $500. Proof coins in PR70 deep cameo regularly sell for several $100s. And rare wrong planchet errors have reached well into the thousands, with some crossing the $5,000 mark. These numbers show that even a coin most people dismiss as pocket change can, under the right circumstances, turn into a collector's treasure. The 1990 dime is also fascinating because of its place in numismatic history. It came at the tail end of the 1980s, a period when modern coin collecting was gaining momentum again. The introduction of third-party grading services in the 1980s gave collectors new confidence, and by 1990, people were paying closer attention to the quality and rarity of their coins. This meant that a few exceptional dimes from 1990 were set aside, carefully preserved, and now represent some of the finest known examples. For collectors today, the 1990 Roosevelt dime offers important lessons. It proves that not all value comes from age alone. A dime from 1990, which many of us might still find in change today, can be worth hundreds or even thousands if it is flawless or carries a rare error. It also highlights the importance of looking closely at the coins you handle every day. Most people pass them by, but the keen-eyed collector knows that treasures often hide in plain sight. Imagine finding a coin worth $2,000 in your pocket change. Sounds like a dream, but stories like these have happened. Someone finds an off-center 1990 dime, or a wide double-struck example, and suddenly a dime that seemed worthless is a rare prize. That thrill of discovery is what drives so many collectors to keep searching, examining, and studying every coin they come across. The 1990 US dime might not seem like much at first glance, but dig deeper, and it's a coin that bridges the gap between the everyday and the extraordinary. Billions were minted, but a few survivors, whether flawless, rare varieties, or dramatic errors, stand as reminders that even the most ordinary coin can carry extraordinary stories. For collectors, it is proof that passion and attention to detail can turn even a 10-cent piece into something truly priceless. The next time you come across a dime from 1990, take a closer look. Tilt it under the light, study the details, check for off-centers, doubled features, or unusual planchets. You never know, your ordinary pocket change might just hold a coin that has sold for hundreds, or even thousands at auction. And even if it doesn't, you'll know that you've touched a small piece of America's coinage history, a coin that continues to surprise collectors decades after it was struck. The 1999 United States one-dime coin, part of the familiar Roosevelt dime series, is a coin most people see as ordinary pocket change, but like every coin struck at the U.S. Mint, it carries hidden stories that make it far more interesting than many realize. The Roosevelt dime has been in production since 1946, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt for his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II and his strong connection to the March of Dimes, which helped fund research to fight polio. By 1999, the design had been in use for over 50 years, and yet, within that seemingly routine production year, there are surprises, minting errors, and remarkable examples that today sell for values far above 10 cents. On the obverse or front side of the coin is the familiar portrait of Roosevelt facing left, designed by John R. Sinek. Above his head is the inscription Liberty. To the left is In God We Trust, and below the neck is Sinek's initials JS. To the right is the date 1999, along with the mint mark, which would be a P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or S for San Francisco proofs. On the reverse is the torch in the center, flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right, symbolizing peace, strength, and independence. The inscriptions read United States of America, along the top rim, E pluribus unum, across the center, and one dime at the bottom. Like other modern dimes, the 1999 Roosevelt dime is composed of a copper-nickel clad over a pure copper core. It weighs 2.27 grams, with a diameter of 17.91 millimeters and a reeded edge. While the composition and design were standard, the striking and production of billions of coins meant that errors were inevitable, and this is where the collecting value emerges. The mintage of the 1999 dime was high, with over 1.4 billion struck at Philadelphia and around 1.7 billion at Denver. San Francisco produced over 2.5 million proof coins specifically for collectors. With numbers like these, the vast majority of 1999 dimes will always be worth just 10 cents, even in decent condition. But what makes this year fascinating are the outliers, the high-grade survivors, and the striking errors that collectors chase. Condition plays a huge role. Most 1999 dimes circulated heavily, meaning they carry scratches, wear, and dull surfaces. But a tiny number have survived in nearly perfect condition, with sharp details, full luster, and no distracting marks. These are the coins that grading services like PCGS or NGC certify at levels such as MS67 or MS68. While an ordinary dime is worth its face value, a 1999 dime graded MS68 can sell for over $300 to $500 at auction, proving just how valuable condition can be for modern coins. The San Francisco proof coins are another area of interest. These coins were specially struck with polished dies and planchets, giving them mirror-like fields and frosted details. They were sold directly to collectors, never intended for circulation. A 1999 S-proof dime graded PR70 Deep Cameo, essentially flawless under magnification, can bring $100 or more. While many proofs trade for modest amounts, perfect examples attract strong bidding, since perfection is rare. But the most dramatic stories always come from error coins, and the 1999 dime is no exception. One of the most sought-after types of errors is the off-center strike. These happen when the coin blank isn't properly seated in the press, causing the design to be struck off to one side. Some 1999 dimes show partial designs with blank metal visible. Depending on how dramatic the misstrike is, these can sell anywhere from $50 to $250, especially if the date is still clearly visible. Double strikes are another fascinating error. A 1999 dime struck twice, with Roosevelt's profile overlapping in two positions, can sell for several $100s, depending on how noticeable the doubling is. These coins grab attention immediately because the error is visible even to someone with no knowledge of coin collecting. One of the rarest and most valuable types of 1999 dime errors involves wrong planchets. This happens when a dime is struck on a planchet meant for another denomination or even for a foreign coin. For instance, there have been examples of 1999 dimes struck on cent planchets, which make the coin smaller and lighter than usual, with parts of the design missing. These wrong planchet errors can sell for $1,000 or more depending on rarity. Another dramatic error involves missing clad layers. Because Roosevelt dimes are made of a copper core with a nickel-clad outer layer, sometimes one of the clad layers doesn't get applied. This leaves one side of the coin looking coppery, like a penny, and the other side silver-colored. A 1999 dime with a missing clad layer can easily bring $300 to $600. And sometimes more if both layers are affected. Clipped planchet errors are also known from 1999. These occur when the blank was punched too close to the edge of the metal strip, leaving a curved or straight clip in the coin. These unusual shapes make the coin instantly recognizable as an error, and they can sell for $50 to $150 depending on size. And I appeal that strike-through errors add another layer of intrigue. This happens when foreign material like grease, thread, or other debris gets between the die and the planchet during striking, leaving an impression or missing design elements. Some 1999 strike-through errors sell for $25 to $100, while dramatic ones can fetch more. Auction records give us the clearest picture of value. In recent years, 1999 dimes graded MS-68 from both the Philadelphia and Denver mints have sold for over $400. Proof examples in PR70 Deep Cameo from San Francisco have brought close to $150. Error coins from this year have crossed even higher levels, with missing clad layer examples selling near $600 and wrong planchet pieces exceeding $1,000. These results show that even a coin struck in the billions can produce valuable rarities. Collectors also see the 1999 dime as historically interesting because it was struck just before the millennium. Many see late 1990s coins as the end of one era and the beginning of another, especially since the state quarter program was launched that same year, bringing renewed attention to U.S. coinage. While the dime's design remained unchanged, coins from this period hold a certain nostalgic appeal for those who remember the transition into the 2000s. Think about it for a moment. Billions of 1,999 dimes are out there, jingling in pockets, sitting in change jars, tossed in drawers. To most people, they are meaningless pieces of small change. But hidden among them are the treasures, the off-center strikes, the double strikes, the missing clad layers, the flawless MS-68 gems. These are the coins that turn 10 cents into hundreds or even thousands of dollars, and they're still waiting to be found. This is why collectors check their change so carefully. The thrill of discovery is always present. Imagine finding a 1999 dime with a missing clad layer, copper core exposed, or spotting an off-center error with Roosevelt's portrait pushed to the side. For an untrained eye, it's just a strange coin. For the collector, it's a prize that could sell for hundreds. The 1999 US dime reminds us that no coin is too ordinary to become extraordinary. Even the smallest denomination coins can hold secrets from the mint, and those secrets can translate into real value. Whether it's a perfectly preserved gem, a proof coin with flawless surfaces, or a dramatic error, the 1999 dime proves that treasure can be hiding in plain sight.